Thank you so much for the opportunity and for the great music. Like wow, like let's talk about that music though. That was fire. Um just one moment while I try to collect myself for one moment. Maybe I can figure this out. Awesome. So as I'm figuring this out, Nyla, could you start off our introductions for us, please?
Yes. Could you guys that's watching put your name in the chat as well as your role or your position? And we're gonna start off with our introductions here. So my name is Nyla, and I'm a guest with presenting with the Bridge Makers today. I'm a senior at High School for Recording Arts, and I've been going there for all 4 years of my high school. So going there has had an impact on me that I don't think I could have gotten at any other school. I have opportunities to volunteer at elementary schools, working with kindergarten students, helping with reading, writing, and just those type of general skills. I've had the opportunity to travel outside of state to attend conferences similar to this one. One of the conferences that I attended was the a stigma conference for HIV and STDs, and then I had went to another conference about student learner centered environments. So trying to really convince people why student centered environments are important and are needed for students. And I've also had the blessing to travel outside of the country to help build a medical center in a small village in Kenya, which was a dope experience in itself. Like that right there could have been enough, for 4 years. But all of these opportunities that was presented to me couldn't have been possible without my mentors that went to my school and just helped me along the way and guided me through all of this and just, included me in all of these amazing, wonderful trips and opportunities. So thank you all for coming today. I'm happy to be here helping make a change and just hopefully inspire you to know the difference between mentorship and inspire you to be mentors. So I'm gonna pass it to, I think, Esteban.
All right, thank you. So yeah, my name is Esteban Castillo. I'm a 2020 high school graduated from Avalon Charter School. I'm an artist, community organizer, and a social entrepreneur, as well as an ambassador with the Bridge Makers organization. Now, a little about me and my story. My mother was adopted with her brother at a young age, from Colombia at the age of 7, and my father was brought along with his siblings, my aunt and uncle, as undocumented immigrants to the U.S. with my grandmother. So when I was 10, my father was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison, being sent away to Oklahoma to serve out his time. So while out there, he decided that it was time that he got his GED and took it upon himself to help others that couldn't speak English to also get their GEDs and change their lives around. Sadly, his efforts weren't enough to prove to the judge that he was a changed man and was deported back to Mexico, where he's been living to this day. And that's kind of why I'm here advocating mentorship today, because throughout those few years that he did take it upon himself to help those that couldn't help themselves, he was able to not only change his life, but change those others in the process that really needed it. And throughout my entire high school career, I've been able to see how every school system operates, jumping from public school to private and finishing off in a public charter school. And with each public system that I've gone through, it's been giving me a clarity on the world around me, just a broader, bigger picture. And I want to give a shout out to Avalon Charter School because they're a project-based and student-led school that is an amazing place. It's just the staff truly loves their students, and they've created a life-changing atmosphere in that building that I could say that has been a second home for me. And yeah, now I'd like to bring it off to Jose.
Thank you, Esteban. Thank you, Nyla. Thank you for everyone that is here with us attending this virtually, whether that be live or whether that be you catching up on this great breakout session. We really do appreciate you giving us some of your time. My name is Jose Perez. I am an R&B artist. I'm a first generation graduate of high school for recording arts, where I met Nyla. I am now a political science student at St. Paul College, born in the east side of St. Paul, raised by a single mother of two. I see myself as a product of my immigrant mother's American dream, along with her sacrifices. My experience with student-centered learning is why I'm an advocate for human-centered transformation of our education and economic system. I am very privileged to say that I'm an ambassador for Bridgemakers, and I get to serve on their board as a treasurer secretary. So I'm very pleased to be here. And again, thank you all. We actually do have the privilege of having someone that does this, that is a mentor, that is an educator, that is on the other end of this stick. Peter Pisano. Peter, if you could please give yourself an introduction.
I don't know her, but she asked for you
And I
as a
will
mentor.
also ask if you are not speaking, please to stay muted, and whenever you have the opportunity to unmute when speaking. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, thank you. Peter Pisano. I'm right now at Venture Academy. Literally, I'm in the building now at work. Starting this next year, what I'm going to be doing is I'm leading a team of 3 folks, some super high power advocates, student advocates um, here at Venture Academy, setting them loose inside our school system and to see how we're going to blow it up by taking adults, empathizing with students so thoroughly that their stories and their voices are have a seat at the table. Um, in the years past, I've been a social studies teacher here at Venture. I've been the dean of discipline here at Venture. Um, Before that, I was on the road touring as a musician for 3 years, taught in Toronto at a college prep school. I've been in a couple different spots, but the through line there is working very, very closely um, with students, doing as best I can to understand them as human beings and allowing that to change me as an educator so I could serve them better.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Peter, and thank you for taking some time, even while you're in that school building, to talk about how important what we're doing is. Um, so so yes, with the introductions, please, if you haven't already, please put in the chat your name, school, or organization, and your role there, and we'd love to get to know each other. It sounds like a lot of good trouble from Peter. That's what he's causing, a lot of good trouble. And speaking of good trouble, we really want to just give some content on how Bridgemakers even became what it is, how this all started, and yeah, Esteban, if we can go ahead and just talk about Changemakers and what Changemakers is and how that now is relevant to what Bridgemakers is doing.
Most definitely. Yeah, if you could open that slide for me. Perfect. All right, so yeah, just to kind of give context, like you said, just of where Bridge Makers came from and what Change Makers is. So Change Makers was started by a handful of venture students. The great Walter Cortina, which is now the president of Bridge Makers here for us, and Lincoln Bacall, which is also an ambassador here with us. But they just got together and they decided that while they were students, that they saw room for change and knew that we were the students to be able to bring it. They were advocating for student-led improvement centers in their schools, and just having a better say in their education and in the way that they're taught. Yeah, yep. See here, these are some core say principles that they've kind of just came along. This was all actually created by venture students as well that were involved with the change makers situation. So just kind of more what that means of a student-led improvement center is just we want to create a group of students, not a committee that would kind of plan school dances or go about Spirit Week and things like that. We already have one of those. We want to have a group of advocates that in each school system or each school that would be able to kind of be the bigger voice for the other students, just kind of be able to have a say in where the funding is going, how testing is being done and where we're able to be able to navigate and the disconnect between teachers and mentorship, and having that bridge in a real connectiveness with the students and teachers alike. If you could, yep, perfect. Go to the next slide. So yeah, talking more just a little about mentorship. We have like I said, these were these main points, but I also kind of wanted to go in depth of just how how the mentorship in my experience through change makers has been, a just big shout out to John Bacall. He's been the one, behind it all, just really presenting the opportunities for us to take advantage of them and get to the point to where we're at here to be able to present to you about what we've been doing. He's gotten our foot in the door in buildings we didn't think we could get into. He's been able to get us to the table to talk to representatives and legislators, things like that, to be able to kind of bring our ideas into a, a light, into the light, actually, just to be able to even have our ideas thought of and things like that. And yeah, yep. So now we have our 7 student-centered learning principles, and I just we have these here for you guys to read over, but I wanted to touch base on one of them, and that was real world relevance. This principle alone just kind of really resonated with me, just because in the action of being an activist, you kind of have to learn to navigate other worlds. You need to be able to present yourself in a different light, and in the light that you want to be presented in. You need to be able to put your best foot forward and show how to truly be a leader and things like that. And these are things that you can apply into your everyday life. The easier ways to navigate through just work or just stress levels, being able to navigate through how to actually put these all together and get what you want done, and be able to have your ideas from paper to reality.
And right here we have just to end it off, like this is actually, the presentation is from the same presentation that the students, the change makers, presented to the board of directors of Venture. So very bold of them to just do that, and we thought that was a real key of it. Like that's really, it's students wanting change, deserving change, and this is a mentee and a mentor from Venture Academy. And yeah, just shout out to them, because this is definitely the seed where Bridge Makers came about. And okay, awesome. That's how I get out of these. We'll click over here, back to ours. So beautiful. That was amazing. Thank you, Esteban, for just brushing up on change makers, on and the seed of what was and now what is. I have the privilege to really see the process of Bridge Makers and see what they're trying to do. Bridge Makers aims to unleash and encourage the problem-solving potential and democratic participation of marginalized young people. So really seeing that change makers was something that was student-led and student-inspired, and something that students really basically were demanding of, because that's what they deserved of. And instead of just having a team of that, it turned into Twin Cities change makers, where Esteban got involved. And now it's just, now it's an organization. Now we're aiming to have this across our state, because all of our students deserve this. And we've seen the great immense benefits of mentorship and of Bridge Makers.
Not to cut you off, my bad. But I just wanted to also add, yeah, Bridge Makers was kind of just the evolution of change makers, from going from the small charter schools that were already in a progressive light, already kind of trying to focus on where the students can benefit from it, but now bringing that to the standard public schools and being able to bring these ideas that we have into the bigger light.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you for that. Bridge Makers amplifies the stories and mentors the leadership of young folks by building bridges with experienced leaders to reimagine and revitalize communities through the power of passion, purpose, relationships that break these vicious cycles of miseducation, of poverty, of violence, and even of addiction. This initiative is led by 11 diverse youth ambassadors. Bridgemaker's main program in 2021 and beyond, of course, is catalyzing and supporting a youth-driven moment and movement off of their culture, off of their community. The activist entrepreneurs that are leading innovative solutions and ideas that will ultimately revitalize and uplift our communities that are marginalized. We have several leadership and power building pipelines that interact with each other to create holistic youth-led power platforms. These include supporting youth and young adults, engaging in social entrepreneurship, youth-led solution-driven media, relationship-centered education, and democratic organizing. And really one thing about that Bridgemakers, when I hopped onto the team, what was so amazing is it's truly youth leading change. It truly is what we seek to improve. And I'm just so proud of this team, because hopping onto this team, it was a different experience. I've been an essential worker my whole life, so mentorship wasn't too much. I had a lot of instructors in my work history, and now with this, it's a complete youth-driven movement. We have our president Walter Cortina, our vice president Cole Stevens, both under 20. Those are my bosses. And then we have amazing youth ambassadors. So we have Juaria Jama. She's a youth ambassador, and she's also the vice chairwoman of our board. So youth is extremely involved in all decisions, and that's truly a youth-led movement, and that's what I appreciate about this whole thing. Lincoln, she was one of the students from Changemakers, and being an amazing ambassador. We have this handsome young fellow getting to serve as the treasurer secretary. We have an amazing Lori Vang, a trailblazer, amazing advocate. We have Rahma. Of course, like all these youth just being marginalized, being ignored, maybe not even being ignored, but not being used to their full potential. We have Natasha, an amazing Minneapolis artist and activist. And truthfully, why I'm showing you this is because we're youth, right? And youth is amazing, but we're led and coached by experienced leaders. So we have a coach, Haben Gebagurkish. Haben is a Bridgemakers part-time leadership coach, and she co-coached Bridgemakers Minnesota Young Champions in 2020. That's really the change makers. She's mentored and supported hundreds of disadvantaged youth as a teacher. She's the lead math facilitator at High School for Equine Arts. She's fantastic. She's led a few of these conferences in the past as well, and it's because she's a heavyweight. She's a champion in this, and we have the privilege of having mentors like her, and like Esteban said, John Bacall, an education entrepreneur that founded schools, that is a social entrepreneur, and just a real advocate for youth, and somebody that truly believes in what we're doing. And we are so blessed. If you didn't notice, we're expanding our team. So now we have yet to add Esteban up there, but that handsome fellow is going to be up there ASAP as a youth ambassador. And as well as we have a new coach. Her name is Erin Rabb. She has a PhD from Stanford. She's an experienced nonprofit organizer. And these are just the people that are trying to bridge the gap of inexperience and youth that want that experience. So just joining Bridgemakers, their core is mentorship. It is giving utensils to the youth, and then letting those utensils and those youth make the decisions, and just giving advice and just trying to uplift them and their decisions. So I was so fortunate to join the team, and then all in the cohort of ambassadors when I joined, it's not like, oh, I want John, so John's gonna be my coach. It was really a process of, okay, what do you want to gain out of this? Where are you struggling? Where can we best support you as not only bridge makers, but as people, because as artists, entrepreneurs, and activists. So I'm completely privileged to be able to be a part of this process where mentorship is at the core, and it is one of the biggest things that we do. It's about empowering our youth, because we know that that's what empowers our communities. Sorry, I just got so long. I just love talking about our coaches. They're so I've never met anybody that really believes in us and that is willing to like just continue that work side by side with us and letting us fail forward, truthfully, letting us do the work and just learning. We do have a few goals for today. Nyla, if you're able to, we want to just go ahead and talk about today's goals.
Yes, so today's goals are knowing the difference between mentors and instructors. So we want you to, know the difference between mentors and instructor. And we also want you to know that there is a difference because some people, and in reality, some people don't know that there's a difference unless they experience it. And for those of you who haven't experienced it, that's why we're here to try to give you like a glimpse of what the outcome can be from being a mentor and what kind of impact you can have on young people's lives and not just school in general, like shape them as an individual. And number two, clarify and amplify key elements of mentorship. So we want to really point out what it means to be a mentorship and what it looks like. Like what are these key things that you can see to differentiate mentorships with instructors or mentorships from instructors. Number three, we want you to be inspired to sew mentorship into your school's fabric. So we right now, the youth that's sharing right now, me, Jose, Esteban, we're all products of mentors that led us and that that shaped us. So we want you to be inspired to have mentorship in your communities and your schools to just see the same outcome or even better. And then number four, answer any questions you may have. So any questions you have for us, just go ahead and put them in the chat and then we'll try to get to as many as we can and answer those questions at any time. Just feel free to throw them in the chat and then we'll get to them for you.
Thank you, Nyla. That was perfect.
Thank you.
Just to add for the chats, anytime we ask each other questions as well, it's always open to the public. So if you ever feel like you have an answer or anything like that, just throw it in chat.
Please. That's so encouraged. We want to hear from everybody. We would love to pick everyone's brain. So that first goal is to really just give the basic rundown. What is a mentor? We have the definition up here. Esteban, could you read that out for us, please?
Yeah. So a mentor is an experienced and trusted advisor. Now that's the textbook definition for what a mentor is. Now I was going to give you a little in-depth on what personally a mentor is to me. Now, like Jose already kind of talked about, he already hit the idea of a mentorship. They're the ones that not only care about the subject that they're trying to teach you, but also about what you've got going on in your life as well. If you're an activist, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're an artist, if you're, whatever it may be, they're always there to try to help and provide the resources needed to be able to continue in the endeavors that you want to be in, everything that you really like to get into. And just to touch base on the mentorship and throughout Avalon, and that's kind of where my mentorship really started, and the difference between a instructor and a mentor, where I was able to realize the difference between them. But everybody, special shout out to Ian Noble. He's an advisor out there at Avalon, who works just day in and day out with his wife Anna Noble. They've both been amazing mentors with me. They've been always calling me, just making sure that even if it wasn't about school, that it was always straight, I'd always have food on the table, things like that, a place to stay if I needed it, if I needed a ride to get to work, to work or school, they were both there for me. So it was just somebody that was involved in my day-to-day life, not only my school life or just whatever they were then supposed to be teaching me. We always, of course, got that done, but it was just more of like a family than more somebody that I saw for 2-3 hours a day and called it a day.
And that's really raw. So I wanted to ask you, Nyla, since we have the textbook definition up here, but what is a mentor to you? Like what with your experience at high school for recording arts, what does mentorship do for you?
Okay, so a mentor for me is a person that, you know, they can come up to you and ask you, how are you doing? And genuinely like want to know. They have some weight behind when they ask that question. And it's not like it's not a job for them. They actually care about each student as an individual rather than just putting everybody in the same boat and getting whatever it is, you know, over with. That's what I feel like a mentor is to me. And they shape your personality. They help you with troubles that you're going through that could be out, you know, not school related. And they care about your mental health as well as your grades or your, you know, your academic success, because everybody knows that what you go through at home, you carry with you at school. Like it don't just go away. Even though if you try to just, you know, put it in the back of your mind, it can distract you. And they know that that can be hard for students, especially like students in the type of like environment or area that's might not be, you know, the best. So they have those programs and they have those teachers and those therapists there to help you. And really, you can go to anybody, whoever you have your bond and your connection established with, then that's the person you go to. That's your person you talk to, you confide in, and they help you through whatever situation it is. That's what a mentor is for me.
Beautiful. And then it would only be right that we talk about the instructor definition as well. Esteban, you have a kind of unique situation when we talk about mentorship and instructors. You have the like, you know, understand both of them, because not only did you go to Avalon, the like a progressive charter school, you went to military school as well, correct?
Yeah, yep. I went to St. Thomas Academy for a little bit. Yeah, my mother sent me to military school. So just kind of being able to see, well, honestly, just to get the definition of an instructor down is that's a person that teaches something, you know. So while at military school, you know, they're very, I wouldn't say hard, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? This is what I say, how it goes. And that's kind of just the structure that they kind of went around, and everybody carried that, you know, whether if you were of rank or not, you know, they kind of just went about in that same fashion. So I never really did get to resonate with anybody. I never really did get to connect with a teacher there that was really wanting to know about me or hear me, just what I had to say about the school or the way that they were going about it. You know, it was just solely kind of just, we're going to teach about religion. This is what religion is, you know what I mean? Just right into your face. It's what it is. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So yeah, just kind of having that, yeah, just like I said, drill sergeant, you know, always right here, who are this is what it is, instead of having kind of somebody to work with me and be able to, because I do like the military aspect of it. I did like, you know, overall, like I like the feeling of being a part of something, but at the same time I just couldn't be a part of that, you know, that just wasn't it for me.
Absolutely. A lot of these things are interconnected. And I wanted to ask you, Peter, since while you're here with us, I wanted to see, for you as a mentor, just reading off of these definitions and whatnot, what's a big difference between a mentor and an instructor? What if there's like something you could point out that really differentiates the two? What would you say that is?
I see an instructor as someone who is passing on some discrete skills. Not everything, not every like transfer between an educator and someone being educated is relational. Some of them are transactional. And I think that a really strong educator embodies both of those. They're both a journeyman who's traveling with you and somebody who's giving you the skills to survive along the journey. So you've already pointed out that it's making a distinction between an educator occupies both of those spaces. Sometimes in the same moment, they're being both a mentor and an instructor for you. But if we want to tease them out and we want to like talk about what could be some differences, I would say like an instructor is someone who's giving a discrete skill, and someone who is a mentor is someone who's a journeyman, who's on the road with you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Peter. And Nyla and I had the privilege of going to high school for recording arts together. And we really, to encompass everything, we always are, it's a community. So every week, us as a school, us as students and teachers and educators, as janitors, as whatever you are, you pop up here, and we go over the basics of why we're all here in the foundation. And I think high school for equal arts encompasses mentorship so well within a lot of it, a lot of what it does. Um, so just I really put a lot of these values that they uphold on us to be real pillars of what we do. Nyla, if you could maybe explain what high school for equine arts 4 values are, and how, like, do they, like, is it like a concrete thing? Is there real definitions for these, or how does high school for equine arts interpret these 4 values into what it does?
Okay, so I want to just like start by saying, like you said, Jose, they remind us of the 4 values every week, and they are really the core and the foundation of our school and of our community members within our school. So there's no concrete definition for all of these. We all interpret them our different way. We all experience them in our own ways and in our own like certain situations. So I feel that each one of the staff members, each one of the mentors at our school, they embody these values to the fullest extent on a daily basis. So we're not just only reminded of them every week at the community meeting, we're reminded of them when we get help for something that's not school related. Like I said, we're reminded when I'm sorry, I'm having a tongue twister. We're reminded of them when someone is performing on the blacktop and they mess up, and it's okay because they tell us like, this is your living room, keep going, we're here to support you. That's, like that's the type of vibes we get from having these 4 values. So the first value, I'm going to start at the bottom and then go up. Community, since I was already talking a little bit about community. We have that sense of community within the school, and we have it like to the point where we can take it outside with us. We have these values that's like, it's put in us, so we can use them besides in a school environment. So like I said, like that's that support system. Those are the people that you can rely on through anything you're going through, just that group of people that's gonna be there for you. And then education. These are again my definitions or how I interpret these. However you feel, you like pick one of these and put them in a chat. However you feel like you experience one of these values. So education. Education for me, I've learned, is a lifelong situation. It's not something that you just stop when you stop going to school. You can always educate someone, and you can always be educated by someone. There's always room to learn anything all the time. Like anytime, just be open-minded, and that's how I interpret education.
I
And
love
then
that, because at high school for your core arts, and I'm so sorry to interrupt you now, because they talk
go
about
ahead.
having an open mind and an open heart. So whenever you approach something, have an open mind, open heart with it. I actually really like your suggestion, Nyla. I know we have educators in here. I know people are in that realm. So if you could pick one of these and throw it in the chat, what does respect look like to you in your classrooms, and what does education look like for you in your classroom? Because these are very different and for each person, and that's what makes those community meetings so powerful, is that there's a new definition every week. Every day we experience something new. For me, respect is inside the classroom and outside the classroom. These students are balancing a lot. These students are working, big brothers, and some of them are parents. What these respect is something that's not a one size fits all, but it's something that you had to cater throughout each and every experience within school. And Nyla, I'll throw you the last value, because I think that's pretty connected to what we're gonna touch on next.
Okay, so the last value, family. This is a pretty big one for one of the programs that I was in, and then I can just get a little bit more into that if we can go to the next slide. Okay, so these are programs that involve mentorship within high school for recording arts. And the first one that I'm going to talk about is HAS/CYC. So what HAS stands for is HIV, AIDS, and STD, and it's a prevention and awareness program, as well as a unwanted teenage pregnancy prevention program. And it's basically peer-to-peer education. You go in there, you learn about the sexual health, the well-being, the mental health, and then you just go and you just share the information with your peers. But what I really like about this program was that it was family oriented. So it was big on the family aspect, and then it embodied the family value more than any other, like program I've been in. So what we did every week is that when we were done with class and we were done with lessons, our mentor, Mama Shai, she would take us and we would go have like a meal together. You know how you sit down with your family and you eat together, you talk together. That's basically what we had at the end of our sessions. We would like talk how we felt. And then this is where most of the bonds was created for me, because when I first went to this program, I had anxiety about doing it. I was just looking like they just eating together, like that's normal. But it really was. And it took less than a couple weeks for me to get right up into the routine. And actually, Mama Shai, she has been one of the biggest influential mentors that I've had. And one of the stories I have about her is when I was going there in my freshman year, I was dating, and then it just didn't end well at all. So that was something that I expected that I had to keep to myself. That wasn't something I would open up with like at least a teacher. But she knew, I don't know how, but she knew something was going on with me. She knew something was wrong, and she knew something was off, because I was just working like more than usual on the computers all day. And she came and she was like, come to the back and talk to me. And I was like, okay. So I went back there and I started talking to her and telling her what was going on. At first it was like, should I be doing this? But then I was like, I need to do this because it just felt, it felt right. That's that connection that you have when you have a mentor, you have established a bond with them, that you can do stuff like that. You can talk to them about whatever it is you're going through. So she helped me out and she talked to me for well over, I'm pretty sure she wanted to go home,
No,
Yeah.
I definitely feel that. But it's worth the investment. Like that's one thing that mentors can see is this is worth the investment. And one thing that a value that high school for culinary arts really embodies is during its advisory system. It's advisory system. So you get an advisor, and the first thing you do is create your PLP, a personal learning plan, based off of not your grade, but your credits, what you need, how you can best be supported, and what your electives are. So you sit down with your advisor. This is one of the first things. Imagine how you want how your school day should be. Imagine what you would want to do from the hours of this and that within trying to make sure we're following this structure, and really putting kids in the steering wheel, or these young adults, I should say, in the driver's seat, so they feel more responsible and more connected to what they're doing to day-to-day basis. There's also an amazing thing, if Nyla, if you could touch on it, about the alpha beta delta situation.
Yeah. So the how the advisory system was set up was through different different advisories. So alpha, beta, and delta. And these names are actually came up by students, came up with these names, and they asked them like, what do you want your space to be called? And these are the names they came up with. So basically it's designed in a way that's not, if you're a freshman, you go to this class. If you're a sophomore, you go to this class. It was based on the credits you needed and the areas that you needed help in. So they would place you where you needed to be in order to get you where you wanted to go. So yep, that's how that worked. And
so like, for example,
cool.
when I came into high school for culinary arts, I was a sophomore, but in freshman credits. So I was an alpha. The stigma of like this or that, or that's not really what they're focusing on. They're just focusing on, this is the group of individuals that can best benefit from learning with each other, and having an advisor there that best caters to that need. We also have artist development in high school for culinary arts. I'd be doing a huge disservice if we didn't talk about the mentorship process within the artists as well. I'm an R&B artist, like I brought up earlier in my introduction. And with artist development, they take, it's like an after school program. So you get a studio facilitator, somebody that that you make a connection with. This is kind of something where it's on your own basis. Whoever you would like to work with, whoever producer or whatever beat maker, whatever, even like the head facilitator would sit down with you and just sit there for an hour and a half and work on your art, work on your craft. That really embodied community. That was a value from High School for Recording Arts, where that felt like a community. No matter if you were in advisory, if you were downstairs in the studio, whether you were in the has room, it was community, and it was all interconnected. So the artist development was a huge benefit for me, because especially as a student that may be a little disengaged in reading and writing, the artist development is able to sew in those things that I may be disinterested in, or also incentivize me as well, because I'm gonna do artist development after school today. So I definitely want to make sure that I knock out everything else so I can focus on my artist development. So High School for Recording Arts definitely does a great job within holding those 4 values and making sure that these mentors, advisors, educators, whatever their names are, whatever their title is, are living up to those 4 values and best serving students like Nyla and myself. So thank you for that, Nyla. We have Peter Pisano here. What a like a freaking beast of a mentor and an artist. So I'm always like, I feel the music tension. So thankful for you to be here, Peter, and I really appreciate you taking some time. I know you have a whole bunch of mentees that would love to talk your ear off right now, but we have the privilege of sitting here with you. So Esteban, I know we're going to get into to like a resource of ours that we really appreciate. Could you just get us started on this?
Yeah, of course. So just to really actually get things going, we had a question for Peter. It's right here for everybody to kind of answer in the chat as well. We want everybody's input on it. But Peter, what does a foundation of mentorship look like to you?
Wow. All right. Can you break this question down a little bit more for me? So is it like, are you asking me like what is at the core of my mentorship relationships with students?
Exactly. Yep.
Um, a couple years back, no, earlier on this year, they were asking me at the school, they were like, what is it that you and H do? H is another guy, he's another dean here at the school. In fact, he was the guy who led the change makers when this thing got started. And they're asking us like, how do we do this thing? What's the key to your relationships with students? And if you've ever been asked before by anybody else, like what makes you good at what you do, it's not an easy thing to answer. So I don't really, I see it working for me, but it's not like so intentional that I can tell you like what is the lever that I'm pulling that's making this thing produce. But then I was hanging out with my girlfriend's brother, who's a UX designer, and he's like, "Bro, I would hire you in a second to be a UX designer, and that means user experience designer."
Okay.
And he was saying because you're just such an effective empath. And it was like the first time that someone had really sort of made that connection for me. But so if I had to guess, like what's at the foundation of the relationship is one's ability to be empathic towards another human.
Beautiful. And that's a great way to start us off. We have a research from the Search Institute that we found really helpful and that aligned well with even like maybe the four values that High School for Recording Arts.
Why are people snagging this 89?
Excuse the ad. They always have to try to get their money in. But yeah, we definitely think that the Search Institute did a stellar job with this, and you're going to hear some very young folk talk. And I think that if we can just hear what these young students are saying, it carries on through. Like we said, those change makers were made by students, and now they ultimately create an organization. So listening to students when they speak is extremely important. So just for a minute, we're going to go ahead and use this resource from the Search Institute.
Pretty much every
Jose, I think when you muted, it muted the video.
Good call, good call. So I'll go ahead and just be quiet while I watch it.
Pretty much everybody who works with kids or interacts with them knows that relationships matter incredibly for how they develop, they perform in school, where they end up in the future. But that doesn't mean you know how to build a great relationship with a young person who you work with or that you just care about. At Search Institute, we are 4 years into a major project of research to try and open that black box of transformative relationships in kids' lives and really figure out what happens in relationships that help kids be and become their best selves. What we've discovered is that there are 5 critical elements of the developmental relationship. The first of those elements is kind of obvious. It's expressing care. And the key idea there is letting kids know they matter to you.
Be dependable. Listen. Believe in me. Be warm. Encourage.
The second element of a developmental relationship is challenging growth. And that means pushing kids to continually get better, no matter how well they're already doing.
Expect my best. Threat. Afraid don't feel me. Hold me accountable.
The third element is providing support, and that means helping kids complete tasks and achieve their goals.
Navigate. Empower. Advocate. Set boundaries.
The fourth element is sharing power, and that's about treating kids with respect and giving them a say.
Respect me.
Include me.
Collaborate. Let me lead.
And the fifth element is expanding possibilities, which means connecting kids with people and places that broaden their worlds.
Broaden horizons. Inspire. Connect.
We know from our studies that when kids experience relationships that are characterized by these 5 elements, they're much more likely to possess key social emotional skills like motivation and a sense of belonging, empathy, and much less likely to engage in risk behaviors. Whether you're working with kids in your job or raising them at home or just interacting with them in your community, we know that if you express care, challenge growth, provide support, share power, and expand possibility, you'll be doing tremendous things to help those kids be and become their best selves. If you'd like to know more about developmental relationships, click the links in the description below and subscribe to our YouTube channel for continuing updates from Search Institute.
They're so cute. Look at them. Those are the next change makers, and that's really what I when just watching that I understood that those students were gonna be such trailblazers, and so if I found an excuse to use it, and I had to sneak that in there. So Peter, like you said, it's very hard to try to distill this thing into one fact, or it's not something that you can just pass along and then you can just digest it and you're a mentor or a very effective mentor. But with these 5 elements, what's something that resonated with you, or something that's really that you've seen strengthen your relationships with your mentees?
Oh gosh. I mean, as I was watching that, I was yes. Yeah, every single one of them absolutely resonated with me. And it's like so highly, the process is non-linear and it's highly iterative. I showed up at a kid's house. Kids don't get on my list until their attendance, grades, and behavior data reach a certain point. And I had a student that, well, fast forward, I'm waking up a student in his living room, in his bunk bed, to get him to come to school. And he sits up and he looks at me and his eyes open up and he's like, how did we get here? That was the first thing that came out of this kid's mouth. And he's like, I really didn't think that you were going to take it this far. And I absolutely was, because I have an understanding that every single kid that is in our building is a number of iterations away. It's like a number of attempts away. So I can look at that kid and I can be like, that's a really tough to reach student. They're going to be like 15 to 16 iterations away. And there could be another student that's like a low hanging fruit. We can get that one with like 2 iterations. And the process that it follows is, like I was saying, it's non-linear. So it's like, it's all based on empathy. And then you're expressing care, and then you're moving over to sharing power. And then there's a difficulty in sharing power, so then you're backing up to expressing care again. And then you're over to providing support, and the providing support, then you're moving over to expanding possibilities. Now they're getting a little bit of traction. Now you're continuing to challenge them growth. But now that they've been challenged to another level, now they're reaching another set of barriers, but now they're reaching setbacks as a skilled person. Reaching setbacks as a skilled person is different than reaching setbacks as an unskilled person. So now you're expressing care again. And so that's what I mean to say that it's like highly iterative. It's only a matter of iterations until you are going to get it to land, and it's non-linear, and that you're going to continue to be bouncing and bouncing and bouncing through all of these different elements.
Oh, awesome. Now I'm unmuted, y'all. I
Um,
wanted to Esteban.
Yeah, just so for time purposes, we were gonna go over individually what we thought about these elements, but just to be able to break out into discussions and things like that, and be able to actually have a chat, you know, one-on-one, we just kind of want to speed this up a little bit.
Absolutely. So with that being said, if y'all could pick one of these and drop it in the chat, let us know what does expand possibilities look like within mentorship, or how does, or what is one of these elements most resonate, or you could do better on. These are fantastic values and elements that we just got to experience. So definitely love to pick your brain on that. And thank you for that, Peter. That was fantastic. And thank you, Esteban, for keeping an eye on time. Definitely don't want to be respectful of everyone's time. So how can adults at schools build stronger relationships with students and encourage student leadership? So Bridgemakers did a video competition, and we just wanted to know what the answer to this question was. So we have a video of high school students letting us know how can we build stronger relationships with students and encourage student leadership. And I want to say that Nyla actually is a video competition winner of this whole thing. So it was super awesome for her to not only be a part of this video competition, but for her to feel so passionate about it, to join us and to let us know exactly her in a more depth way what she thinks. So thank you, Nyla, for joining us again. Like you're amazing in the video, and I hope everyone can just really take away and hear what these students think and believe.
Thank you.
If you want to put
Jose,
a
wait, before you play the video real quick, I was looking in the chat and I didn't see any questions yet, but I want to remind you all that if you did have questions, to just throw them in there and we're gonna get to them.
Yeah, we love to, especially before this time, man.
Yeah, so our session actually ends in 4 minutes, and I see this video is 4 minutes. So I'm just thinking, I'm wondering whether we should maybe send this video as a follow-up link, or like basically choose that or the questions. I think it's up to you all, but I'm not sure we'll have time for both.
No, for sure. I think, and thank you for that, Lars. I think we'll just go ahead and finish it off with the video. I think it's very important that everyone can just, if you have experienced it once, just to definitely digest what they're saying, and then we can just we can give everyone their time. So just ending it off with student voices as it always should.
If you want to build a connection with us students, you have to be willing to live in our reality and see what our environment is like outside of school. If a teacher took the time out their day to meet my mother, my sister, and them, it shows them like they really care about me and that they're willing to see where I come from.
Adults within schools can seek to build further relationships with students as well as student leadership by acknowledging the challenges we face, as well as by directly investing into student leadership that is already growing today.
Equity can be shown in academics area, offering extra help, or can also be having an understanding mind and allowing students to take a break if social problems or family problems are having an effect on them.
Teachers and educators. If you want to build stronger relationships with your student and encourage student leadership, here's how to do so. Statistics show that nonverbal communication is the most used communication, which means that teachers are going to have to learn how to identify and use nonverbal communication.
So some of the things that my teachers do to make us be able to trust them with our education and to build better relationships with them was, first, they treated us with the same respect that they want us to treat them with.
One of the biggest mistakes I've seen is asking students what they need support with and not following through after. Anybody, especially with an IP or 504 plan, knows what I mean. There's a lot of conversation about what you need, but when it comes down to adapting to it, your input's set aside, shut down, and you're left with really limited, useless options that weren't made for you.
In order to build that strong relationship, the student and the teacher have both had to put in energy and be willing to build that relationship. Those some courage and some motivation in there, some sauce and whip it up, it's gonna be smooth.
Really, the sense of community in schools, I think, really matters. So the student can feel comfortable enough to speak up with whatever they need.
If you're a really good listener and you really like ask your students, how's your day, beyond just are you okay or not, then the student really feels like, oh, like she really cares about my day, and like, oh, she's like really listening to me instead of just giving me advice. And advice is just listen to my like perspective or view.
And encouraging student leaders is pushing those students that want to make change in those spaces where they can and will be heard.
I think that if teachers were better able to connect with students on a more personal level, like one-on-one, two-on-one, three-on-one, whatever, not such big groups, and it wasn't that conversations on more of a personal level, would be good, because then students and teachers could bond.
The best adults or teachers in schools are the ones who are understanding and really take the time to make you feel heard, because then I feel like that establishes trust, because you don't open up to people who you don't trust.
I feel the best way to improve or to create a bond with the students is to get a better understanding on the students and know that every student is not the same.
Giving students leadership is very important because we are the face of our future.
I've noticed that the teachers that I've had relationships with the best, I've done better in their class. My mental health has been better. And when they give me a lot of work and when I receive lots of work to do, I'm less stressed because I know I can rely on them.
So I think that just being able to make the change, to stay open-minded to the young people who want to change the world as they know it, is a great way to encourage them to take a change and be the leader you know they can be.
Ask us more about our outside life and ask us about how we're doing. You just need somebody to talk to.
You never know what the kid is going through, you know? So you might feel like he got attention towards you, but it might be something at home.
When a student has an idea, you support. No matter how crazy it is, no matter how crazy the idea is, you support, no matter what. Because that shows leadership in creative thinking and ideas, you know? Like, you're letting the student know it's okay to think outside the box. And that's how you create a leader.
That's how you create a leader. Thank you guys so much for attending, for participating. Thank you Esteban, Nyla, and Peter, just for pouring into this. I really appreciate it. And thank you for all the educators. It's you're doing the vital work that is underappreciated, and Bridgemakers is here to support in any capacity that we can. So thank you guys. Thank you, Lars, and appreciate everything.